Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today we are opening the 15th door to our advent calendar of Christmas horror movies, this time with the 1972 entry, Home for the Holidays. Now, this was a TV movie that aired obviously in the early 70s, and one of the things that drew me to it, more than the fact that it's a Christmas horror movie and it meets the criteria, is the cast. The cast is phenomenal in this movie, but the movie overall I found to be not a whole lot more than just a bit above average. But the cast of this one, we have Jessica Walter, who you might recognize in more modern times as Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development, or Mallory Archer in Archer, or the voice behind her. We also have Sally Field, Eleanor Parker, Julie Harris, who you might recognize if you are a fan like I am of the movie The Haunting. She played Eleanor in that film. And Walter Brennan is, it's just a stellar cast, especially for a TV movie. But in this movie, Walter Brennan plays Benjamin Morgan, who is an elderly man that is suspecting his wife of, well, basically slowly poisoning him. He is remarried, and he asks his daughters of his first marriage to come to his house and basically announce to them that he believes he is being slowly murdered, and in response, to save his life, he wants his daughters to murder his most recent wife. Although basically this is a movie where it's a very slow paced thriller. It's not even, it's sort of a slasher, sort of not. I would say that it meets some criteria, but definitely not all of it. But this is a movie that it was more brutal than I expected for a 1970s TV movie, but still kind of holds itself back in predictable TV fashion. This is less a scary movie and more just an interesting character drama that just happens to be centered around killing. But each one of his daughters has their own kind of burdens to bear, and alcoholism, so on and so forth. Scars from their childhood that they bring to the table as they interact with one another and try to determine how real this threat is, and how to go about addressing it in a fashion that is more realistic than just killing somebody, or if maybe that's their only option once things start going a bit weird. The unique personalities and traits of the characters are really kind of what sets this movie apart, but aside from that, I found it to be a little bit lackluster in terms of real substance. What was presented was entertaining enough. I would say that it's a classic, but ultimately, I just kind of found it to be a little bit of a slow, not all that entertaining watch. I really hate to put it that way, but ultimately what I found about this movie was that it was a little bit too slow for my taste. It dragged on a bit, and whatever shock value was kind of going for, I really found that it was, I don't know, it was a good movie. It just wasn't a very entertaining or enthralling watch, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and throw up all the scores here. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. All the categories have a decent score to them. There's really not a whole lot of nits that I can pick with this one. It really, I don't know, maybe I was in kind of a mood when I watched it, but it just didn't really scratch that itch for me. There wasn't anything about it that really had me glued to the screen, that captured me, aside from the acting performances in it, which were stellar. And I always try to kind of, I don't know, tread that line carefully when I'm dealing with reviewing a classic movie, is to not just award it points because it's a classic. I kind of have to judge it based on the quality that it's presenting to me on the screen, and based on that, I really couldn't give it any higher than 67 out of 100 points. Still not bad. I don't know, I had a feeling that with the acting performances involved and the fact that it was a classic, that somehow it should have been higher, and I just couldn't bring myself to give it false points based on that premise. So ultimately what it comes down to is, would I recommend this movie? And I think as long as you understand what you're in for, if you're wanting a 1,000,000-mile-per-hour roller coaster ride of blood, guts, gore, and shock horror, you're not going to want to watch this one. It's not going to be to your tastes. But if you want to watch classic actors and classic actresses and a classic storyline and a classic feel with some good character-driven drama that happens to have killing and pitchforks in it, then I think this one will be right up your alley. And on that basis, yes, I would recommend 1972's Home for the Holidays, and that's my review of it. So thank you very much for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and if you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.